and this is the review of the 2025 Audi A5. And now, this is a 5-door luxury small sedan, but it's more of a sportback. It has a hatchback in the back. For this 2025 redesign, Audi has consolidated the A4, the A5, and the A4 Allroad all into this one package called the A5. So moving forward, their luxury small sedan will be called the A5. This A5, along with the Q5 and the A6, as well as some other models, are all on Audi's new shared platform called the Premium Platform Combustion. And they all share an infotainment system, which is called the digital stage, which I'll get into later. Notable changes about this redesign? I mean, really it's everything. It's the styling, it's completely different. It follows Audi's new design language. The infotainment system, as I had mentioned, is that digital stage. It's different. The interior is different. This A5, despite having the sloping roofline, still competes with other luxury small sedans like the BMW 3 Series, the Mercedes C-Class, the Genesis G70, Lexus IS, to name a few. And our version comes with a 2-liter turbocharged 268 horsepower motor, but you could also get the S5, which is a 362 horsepower V6. So you have some engine options as well. They both come with all-wheel drive. Now, an interesting thing Audi did is they introduced this Audi A5 in 2025 as a all-new generation, but it runs alongside the previous generation, which is also a 2025. So you do have to make that distinction if you're buying a 2025. Going into the future, the 2026 and so on, I imagine will continue to be this generation. So for our test program, we bought a 2025 all-new Audi A5 Premium Plus. This A5 had a base price of $49,700. We added some options for $6,580 with a destination of $1,295. The total came to $57,575. And the final assembly point of this A5 is in Neckarsulm, Germany. So let's talk about styling. Now this A5, like I said, it's completely different than any former Audi generation. They've really completely changed up the styling. When you get to the back here, that's where you notice a true difference. And Audi has always been known for their tail lights and the shows that their lights put on. This continues to do the same. And the nice bar across the back looks good. You have true exhaust tips on the bottom, which has been a point of contention in the past where there's not actually exhaust in there, it's just a fake. These are real. So sometimes exterior styling also impacts the ability to access the interior. First thing, multiple testers noted that they didn't like the door handles. Now, on the bright side, they don't pop out like a lot of new cars do. So that's a plus point. But it really is just almost like a touch button underneath. And there's a delay when you open it because it's electronic. Once you get in, now you know you bought an A5, which means it's a sedan and it's low. It's not an SUV and easy to get into, but with that in mind, there is some ducking to get in. But you know that because you're buying a sedan. But once you're inside, driving position is hit or miss. Some of our testers liked it, some of our testers did not. I personally fit quite well in this vehicle, so it really is one of those cars where you have to test for yourself just to make sure you fit. Fortunately, visibility is pretty good, and that's a result of these thin A-pillars right here. But when you look out the back, because it is a hatchback, it's a very narrow window in the back. But as a plus point, the camera system is very good. So multiple testers in our logbook noted that when parking, it was a huge help to have that camera, even with that small window in the back. As far as seat comfort goes, it was pretty unanimously loved. These seats are incredible. They're comfortable, they're supportive, they have good bolsters, they have good thigh support. There's even a thigh extender right here. Also helpful for customizing your driving position is the center armrest that you can put pretty much wherever you want. And it makes it so that you can sit with your two arms parallel between the armrest on the door and the center armrest. Now, as far as fit and finish goes, the cabin is pretty well constructed on the surface. It looks good, you know, the materials are solid, but it is so boring. It's just a monochrome black everywhere. And many testers noted that it's just too boring for a $60,000 car. I wish there was more detail. And when Audi tried to put detail like the piano black trim, I mean, that's kind of going out of style now. And it isn't really that functional because when sun comes in, it produces a pretty serious glare. It's good that it's well constructed, but I wish there's a little bit more detail to make it more inviting to be in this space. But most of the other material choices are quite good. I mean, you have soft touch surfaces, the leather is quality, the steering wheel has nice stitching on it. So, you know, there are both plus points and negative points about the fit and finish in this Audi. One big change to come to this redesigned A5 are the controls and the new digital stage infotainment system. And for the most part, the controls are, you know, like all other Audis. There's an electronic shifter, which you see a lot these days, and it's relatively easy to use. You know, it's not as good as a manual shifter that it used to be. But one thing that almost every tester noted that they didn't like was this pad on the driver's side door. So many testers couldn't understand why this control was put in this as well as some other Audis. This pad controls the locking, the lights, the mirrors, memory seating, as well as child locks, all on one pad. And having this here pushes the window controls a little bit further back. It's really the lack of delineation between the functions, like the locking and the headlights. It makes it easy to confuse what functions you're trying to press. Equally as frustrating as the controls are on the door is the fact that Audi also put that on the steering wheel. This also has touch capacitive buttons with very little delineation between functions. So the steering wheel heat is easily confused with the volume while you're not actually looking at it. And they did do one thing where they put these lines in here. It's almost braille-like so that you could feel the difference between the functions. I spent a lot of time in this car and I still had to look down every time to check which one's the steering wheel heat or which one's the volume. This redesigned A5 is Audi's newest model with the digital stage infotainment system. And what that is in this model is a 11.9-inch screen in front of the driver for the cluster, a 14.5-inch screen in the center console, and the Prestige model gets a 10.9-inch screen for the passenger here. Of course, in this version, it's actually just a blank, but it can be used by the passenger in higher trims. This infotainment system is actually quite good. I mean, it's responsive when you click on the buttons. You know, it's pretty logically laid out. A lot of people mention that in the logbook. I personally really like that it has this screen here, which is all your favorites, and you can customize it. So anything you put in here, you can have automatically there like a control panel. And we love the simple, intuitive design of the center screen, but accessing functions on the cluster screen in front of the driver is a bit complex with the touch capacitive buttons on the steering wheel that control it here. But at least there's a physical knob for the volume and seek or track change right here. In typical Audi fashion, there's not a lot of in-cabin storage space. I mean, you have cup holders here, and you have a wireless charging pad to put your phone. You can even put your key in this little designated key pocket, as long as you don't have a lot of keys on your keychain. And then you can fit some stuff in the center console under the armrest. Overall, there's not too much here. The door pocket does have some space in it, but it's pretty difficult to access because you have to reach under these controls here to get to it. And one thing I love that Audi did with this A5 is with the panoramic sunroof and the way that the shade goes on. Now, it's not an actual shade like it is in some cars, but it almost fogs the glass in a sequential order, which is reminiscent of the animated taillights and headlights that you see in Audis. So it's a little gimmicky, but I think it's kind of cool. Now that we're done up front, let's check out the rear seat. Access to the rear is very similar as access to the front, with the addition of the sloping roofline here requiring you to do a little bit more ducking. One additional note about getting in the rear seat is just how bulky this sill is. You have to completely step over it to get inside. And once you're in the back seat, I mean, there's not a lot of space back here. I'm not that tall and I barely have any leg room and I barely have any headroom because of that sloping roof. The seats are comfortable enough, nothing notable. It's really not meant for many adults to be traveling in this car. Now, one thing back here that is uncharacteristic for an almost $60,000 car is these seat back net pockets that after a while tend to always just sag and stretch. I feel like this could have been a little bit nicer for a car of this caliber. Regarding child seats, I do have 2 child seats and they fit relatively well in this car with enough leg room. And one thing my kids loved, I really want to shout out to any automaker that puts these rear sunshades back here because my kids love them. So back here is good for kids, whether in a child seat or not. As far as adults, probably not. Now let's check out the trunk. A true unique point for this car. And now this A5, being a sportback, has a hatchback back here, and I love that about it. It's like an old Saab or something. You open it up, and there's so much room back here for storage, way more than most sedans have. And if this space isn't enough for you, you can create more space by taking this down, and then you can fold the seats down as well. And now you have this huge cargo area back here. Unfortunately, come look, there is no spare in this A5. So Audis are often known for how well they drive. Let's see how this A5 does. And yes, as far as driving experience, this A5 delivers. This is truly where it shines. I mean, for handling, one of the testers noted that this is the high point of the car, and I tend to agree. It is so well controlled through the turns. The steering wheel provides good feedback. It is responsive, but not too darty. And there's a little bit of body roll in the corners, but even where there is, it's so competent, it makes up for it, and it kind of keeps the car in control. And so many cars, to handle as well as this one does, they compromise ride. But this A5, there are no compromises. It still rides really well. It absorbs most any bump that you throw at it or crack in the road, and any uneasiness is quickly dampened by the suspension and the tires. It's truly a well-handling car, and it rides so well. When you talk about noise, it is so quiet in here. There's really not even much wind noise until you get above 70 or so miles an hour. So overall, handling and ride and noise, Audi really hit the nail on the head for all of this. While handling, ride, and noise are phenomenal in this A5, the powertrain, not so much. So it's a 268 horsepower, 2-liter turbo, and it is mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. And almost every tester noted that that dual clutch transmission does not perform very well. There are certain situations like off the line, there's a delay to get the car going. And then once you're at speed, it doesn't really know which gear it should be in. Sometimes you're in too high of a gear and then you mash the accelerator to get out of that or downshift, and then it lurches forward because it doesn't really know what's going on. So overall, we were not big fans of how the transmission performed. This A5 comes with a whole suite of standard safety features, including automatic emergency braking, blind spot warning, as well as some others. But one interesting thing that a couple testers noted was just how well the adaptive cruise control works. The stop and go in traffic is very lifelike. It mimics how a human would drive quite well. So kudos to Audi for really fine-tuning the adaptive cruise control. Overall, while I'm sad to see the A4 nameplate go, really all it is just a name change. This A5 is Audi's new small luxury sedan, and it is a fair competitor to the BMW 3 Series or the Mercedes C-Class or the Genesis G70. I mean, Audi did a really good job. I think the styling is pretty nice. The fit and finish on the inside, because you could use a little work. I wish it wasn't so boring and monochrome, but you know, maybe if you get a better trim line with some better colors and better stitching, it'll be a little bit of a better in-cabin experience. The digital stage infotainment system is intuitive to use, it's responsive, and this A5 handles so well. It's so refreshing to have a nicely handling car that also rides well. But if you want more information about our detailed test results on this A5 or its competitors, just visit cr.org/cars.